Free will. So we've talked about it before, but free will is for there to be free will, there has to be somebody there deciding. And as I would summarize all of these talks into who you think you are is a summary of thoughts into a separation entangled in biological instinct for survival, and it's just a story. The entity that you've created in thoughts of being a separate you, that society has indoctrinated each individual human being into being. It's told at a young age, you are a separate human being, you are a separate self, there is you and other, and objects are this and that, and they're yours, and they're, all of these things. This idea has been habituated into the thinking process of being a human being in society. But that actually, if it's looked at, that separate entity, that thought, that mind-made thought entity is just a story. It's just a bunch of assumptions. And if it's looked at and can't be found, there's an openness. Now, in that openness, is there free will? And as I've said before, it feels like it's life will. It feels like it's life interaction. So free will is just a term to say, I am free to make these decisions with all associated responsibility. And free will, I get it right or I get it wrong, or they do it badly or do it well, and I have free will to do this. If you think you have free will, then just choose to do everything well and choose to do everything perfectly for the rest of time, and always say the right thing and do the right. Just choose that. But we don't seem to be able to choose that. So in the confusion, we just say, oh, I don't know. I just have a habit of doing that. I don't know why. So we sort of know that there's subconscious stuff going on. We don't know what it's doing, and we don't know how much it influences our decisions, but we still have free will to override that, even though we don't. When in fact it's all this complex interaction that fires off the next reaction or word or thought, and it's not through that individual person, that separate self, thinking a certain way and deciding a certain thing, which is what free will is based upon. Or it depends what we call a person, but if there is a separate self, separate entity that is running this show, that's driving the bus, little man up in the head somewhere, then there could be free will. But it's looked for, it can't be found. And when it's dug deeper and when it's really looked into, all of those reactions and all of that life experience is really just a conglomeration, a multitude of things in this biology that's firing off the next interaction, which has got a billion variables leading to that in this lifetime as a biology. But before that, it inherited epigenetic traits from previous generations. It was interacting always with everything that was going on around it. So that the interaction and the complexity of the interaction, it goes all the way back to the Big Bang, and then the lava dripped on the water, and then that made more carbon. It's just all interactive, and there's no way that could be understood. And if that is leading to the next word or decision that comes out or thought that appears here in this biology, there seems to be some sort of free will, and there is a learning process that happens in the organism, and it seems constructive sometimes, and there's a learning to be peaceful, and there's a learning to awaken. There's an awakening, which is an opening. We could call that learning, but it's really just the way it's unfolding. So call that free will. Yeah, why not? That's free will. It's life expressing that way. It feels like free will, so why not? Let's just say there is life will. There is an appearance of free will, and that's part of this experience. So it's fine that way. But if it's really looked into and released, like if free will is freed from the identification as being done by a separate self, then there's complete open, free movement, free choice of this flow of life. That feels more like free flow.